Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again to really dig into the technical details, pull out those practical bits, maybe some surprising things you can actually use. So today, we're doing a deep dive based on a whole load of updates, specifically from Andrew Kagan's newsletter, the September 26th edition. We sorted into about, 8 areas: Azure, AI, security, the works. And honestly, the big theme, the thing connecting all of this, it's AI agents. They're not just concepts anymore. The actual infrastructure is changing right now to support them. Okay, let's pack this. Let's start right at the bottom layer, Azure. The cloud itself. Seems like the big news there is all about paving the way for these autonomous systems. We've got the public preview of Logic App's MCP servers and Azure API management for MCP-enabled multi-agent solutions, A2A, right? This feels like more than just giving AI more power. It's like fundamentally changing how the cloud works with intelligence, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating here is you can see the actual cloud infrastructure, the underlying stuff, being molded specifically for these cooperative AI agents. And for you listening, trying to keep track of the acronyms, MCP, that's the Model Context Protocol. Think of it as an open standard. It lets an AI model safely grab external data or use tools, use APIs. It's how it gets its eyes and ears beyond its training data.
Okay, so Logic Apps are basically hosting these MCP servers, letting agents use those outside tools. And A2A, agent-to-agent protocol. That's when they need to chat with each other.
Exactly right. A2A is the teamwork part. It allows AI agents maybe built by totally different teams, different developers, even on different platforms to actually interact, to collaborate smoothly on bigger tasks. Azure is providing the guardrails, the security, the scale, so these distributed AI workers can, trust each other and solve complex multi-step problems. It's moving from one AI doing a task to an AI team.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So if Azure is the new OS for agents, then Microsoft 365. That's where they actually start doing the work, right? The knowledge work. How's M365 changing? Okay, section 2, Microsoft 365. We're definitely seeing AI integration pick up speed. It's going beyond just retrieving stuff, more towards active knowledge management, like this knowledge agent in SharePoint. And M365 Copilot AI agents showing up in more apps.
Right, and this agent focus, it really signals a pretty profound shift for the everyday enterprise user. We're moving past the first stage of Copilot, which was great, don't get me wrong, for summarizing things or drafting emails. But these new knowledge agents in SharePoint, they're built for proactive retrieval.
So instead of me having to specifically ask Copilot, hey, summarize this document, the knowledge agent might already be thinking ahead, anticipating what I need.
Precisely. They act more like resident experts, you could say. They understand the organization's own data, all that stuff in SharePoint, and they can actively surface relevant information or insights without you having to point them to a specific file. They tap into that organizational memory almost instantly.
That sounds incredibly useful, especially when you combine it with, just making things easier to use. Like the source mentioned, Power BI content shared in Teams. Now opens in its own window.
Yes.
It seems small, but getting rid of that embedded frame view, that's a huge usability bump for people actually looking at data regularly.
Definitely a welcome change.
Okay, so we've covered where data lives and how it's managed. Let's move to section 3, Power Platform and Dynamics 365. This is more the automation, low-code, pro-code world. And these updates seem focused on boosting capabilities.
Yeah, you're seeing a couple of really key trends hitting here.
First up, DAX user-defined functions, UDFs. They're in preview. The promise is code once, reuse everywhere. And second, pushing Python hard into Power Platform, even with a code interpreter.
That DAX UDF update, it's a massive win for data analysts. DAX, as you know, is the formula language in Power BI. Before UDFs, if you built some complex calculation, you often had to copy and paste it, rewrite it every time you needed it elsewhere. UDFs formalize that logic so it's reusable. Honestly, it could save analysts hundreds of hours. It's a big deal for efficiency.
Okay, efficiency boost with DAX UDFs. But Python, adding Python with the code interpreter, that feels more strategic, right? Power Platform started as low code. Python is, it's the language for serious data science, for pro developers. Why mix them?
That's exactly it. It's about bridging that gap. By bringing Python in, Microsoft is making Power Platform appeal to pro developers too. They're basically saying, you citizen developers can start here, and you pro devs, you can bring your complex Python scripts here too. It lets them compete more directly with, say, dedicated data science notebooks. They're trying to empower everyone, from low-code users to full-stack automation engineers, to handle really complex stuff that was maybe out of reach for pure low-code before, broadening the platform's appeal significantly.
Makes sense. Expand the 10.
And speaking of expanding the toolkit, there's also the news about Anthropic, a major LLM player. They're joining the lineup in Microsoft Copilot Studio.
Ah, so more model choice for building custom agents.
Exactly. It gives developers more options, more power when they're building those specialized enterprise agents right within the platform.
Okay, huge developments there. Let's shift gears again. Section 4, DevOps, SRD, and infrastructure. So how we actually build and run software in this new agent world. And look, the Model Context Protocol, MCP, it pops up again. No surprise there, I guess. Key things. GitHub adding a specific registry for MCP servers, and this big design effort called Agent Factory, designing the open agentic web stack. Oh, and also, Microsoft Fabric extension for VS Code is now generally available, GA.
Yeah, this just shows how normal MCP is becoming for engineers. We talk about DevOps, right? Merging dev and ops. And SRE, Site Reliability Engineering, that's all about applying software engineering discipline to operations, keeping systems reliable.
So a GitHub registry for MCP servers.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean for, say, an SRE team day-to-day?
It means they can manage AI capabilities just like they manage other software pieces. You can version them, package them, distribute these AI agents and their MCP servers using the same kind of rigorous processes you use for software libraries or containers. The GitHub registry basically formalizes the supply chain for agents, makes them manageable, trackable, and Agent Factory. That sounds like the big picture blueprint for how this whole agent architecture fits into the development lifecycle moving forward, making agents, proper citizens in the code base.
Right, integrating them properly. Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Section 5, data, analytics, and AI. This is the bleeding edge. And the headlines are all about agents getting smarter, more persistent. We're seeing things like AI agent memory, crucial for building self-improving agents, apparently. And Microsoft Fabric, their big data platform, is being positioned as the platform for this AI frontier. Plus, importantly, protecting data in Fabric using Purview just hit GA.
Memory and context. These are game changers. If an agent can actually hold on to information between interactions, remember what happened before, learn from outcomes, well, it moves way beyond just executing simple commands. That's how you get to self-improving agents. Agents that can actually optimize their own workflows over time based on experience.
But wait, if they're remembering everything, doesn't that create huge security headaches? Compliance nightmares. How do you stop that memory getting corrupted? Or worse, leaking sensitive stuff?
That is the central challenge, absolutely. An agent's ability to learn is directly tied to the risk of exposing or messing up critical data. And that's exactly why the GA of Purview protection for Fabric data is such critical news. Purview provides the governance, the policy enforcement needed to make sure that as agents gain memory, that memory stays secure, compliant, and, properly segmented. You need guardrails.
Got it. Guardrails are key.
And linking back to that usability theme we mentioned earlier, there's also the AGUI protocol. This is interesting. It tackles a really practical problem. How do you get these AI agents smoothly integrated into any existing user interface?
Yeah, break that down. What's an example? What does AGUI let an agent do inside an existing UI?
Well, think about some complex, maybe older ERP system or a legacy CRM. Usually adding AI meant tacking on a separate chatbot window or building a custom widget, right? With AGUI, the idea is the agent can be more like a dynamic embedded helper. It understands the context of what you're doing in the application, maybe sees the fields you're filling out, anticipates the next step, perhaps brings in relevant data from SharePoint, all without needing a total rewrite of the front-end application. It's integration that works with the existing setup.
Okay, that sounds powerful. Less disruption. All right, let's pivot to the defense. Section 6, security, compliance, and privacy. With all this agent activity and data use, the stakes are just climbing higher and higher. And the news here is kind of a mixed bag, isn't it? Good news and warnings. We see Microsoft Purview apparently delivering a 30% reduction in data breach likelihood. That's a strong number. But then there's this really stark headline from the sources. Why Microsoft 365 has become the biggest risk. That feels like a major contradiction.
It is. It's the classic risk-reward paradox playing out on a massive scale. Purview is clearly effective, yes. But because M365 is now the central hub for so much organizational knowledge, the very fuel these powerful agents run on the value of successfully attacking it just skyrockets. So we're gaining huge productivity from AI, but at the same time, we're concentrating vast amounts of sensitive data, making M365 arguably the most critical asset we need to defend.
And speaking of defending, the sources explain the new Microsoft Defender for Identity Sensor. Said it's key against attacks like curb roasting. Can you give us the quick version of curb roasting for folks who might not live and breathe internal network security?
Sure. Curb roasting is a sneaky, often quiet attack technique. Once an attacker gets inside the network somehow, they use Kerberoasting to basically ask Active Directory for credentials related to service accounts. They get back hashes, which they can then try to crack offline. It's essentially stealing the keys to important internal services, letting the attacker move around laterally, often undetected for a long time. Defender for identity sensors are crucial because they're designed to spot exactly that kind of suspicious internal credential activity that might slip past perimeter defenses.
Okay, so vital for catching intruders already inside.
Exactly. And looking ahead, there was also a bit of reassurance in the sources, basically saying you don't need actual quantum computers today to start planning for post-quantum security. The cryptographic strategies are already being developed. So defense is trying to stay ahead, even of threats that aren't fully here yet.
Good to know. Okay, that naturally leads us to Section 7, Learning and Certifications. Given everything we've discussed, this whole complex agent architecture, what skills do people, especially devs and IT pros, need to pick up now?
Yeah, the source material is pretty clear on this. The focus is squarely on building and deploying agents, not just using them, but making them. We're seeing learning paths like playlists specifically on demystifying Copilot Studio, and guides on how to build advanced AI agents, mentioning frameworks like LiveKit, Exa, LangChain. Right. The main takeaway for you, the learner out there, is that the market is shifting. It demands practical agent engineering skills now. It's not just about being good at Python or C# anymore. You really need to understand how to orchestrate these agents using platforms like Copilot Studio. And you need to grasp concepts from frameworks like LangChain, which helps manage that complex flow of data and tools going back and forth with the large language models.
And it looks like the tools themselves are evolving to help with this. The source mentioned advanced stuff in Power Apps generative pages like code editing, code compare, even hints about GPT-5 capabilities.
Exactly. That shows the expectation is changing. Developers will need to be able to not just prompt an AI to generate code, but also to effectively design, critique, refine, and debug what the AI produces, compare different AI-generated versions. And yeah, leveraging the most powerful models like potentially GPT-5 for the really complex parts, it's becoming a core part of the modern developer's literacy.
Makes sense. It's a new level of interaction. All right, finally, Section 8. Industry news and trends. Let's zoom out. What's the bigger economic picture, the context for all these tech shifts? Two numbers just jumped out at me here. First, Microsoft rolling out AI tools specifically to tackle what's estimated as an $85 billion technical debt crisis. Huge number. But then this headline that really made me stop, the $1 trillion AI problem. And it's about data secrets, mentioning big names like Snowflake, Tableau, BlackRock.
Yeah, those two numbers side by side, they really tell the story, don't they? The core synthesis, I think, is that they represent the sort of the speed limit for AI adoption right now. On one hand, we're finally using AI to tackle decades of messy, accumulated code that's the $85 billion technical debt problem. It's a massive potential win for productivity, for cleaning things up.
Right, using AI to fix past problems.
But that very same AI progress relies on gobbling up enormous data sets. And that creates this massive new liability, the $1 trillion problem of securing all those newly valuable, newly centralized data secrets. It means scaling AI isn't just about algorithms. It requires immediate, probably expensive overhauls to data security and governance. It's creating a whole new category of essential spending.
So fixing old debt with one hand, creating new security challenges with the other.
Pretty much. And we also saw some critical warnings about current infrastructure. CISA, that's the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, reported a federal agency breach happened using a GeoServer exploit. It's just a stark reminder, isn't it? While we're all focused on the AI frontier, critical systems are still vulnerable to known, sometimes old exploits. Basic blocking and tackling still matters.
Definitely. Can't forget the fundamentals.
And lastly, the quantum race is clearly still on. Sources mention needing to build a quantum workforce and also some real progress on the quantum internet front, a new chip for fiber optics. So the long-term future is still being built too.
So what does this all mean? Putting it all together from today. The theme just feels unavoidable, doesn't it? Model Context Protocol, MCP, and this whole ecosystem of standardized collaborating AI agents, they are fundamentally changing all 8 areas we looked at. It's moved way past R&D. It's now shaping core infrastructure decisions from Azure services right down to, GitHub registries for DevOps.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, I think the biggest shift isn't just the AI models are getting more powerful, though they are. It's the standardization. Protocols like MCP, like A2A. That standardization is the necessary plumbing, the infrastructure that allows different agents, different services, different platforms to reliably work together. That's what you absolutely need before you can get truly scalable, self-improving systems working across an entire enterprise or even beyond.
Okay, so we'll leave you with this thought to chew on this week. We heard about the $1 trillion AI problem, the data secrets issue. We heard specific warnings about Microsoft 365 becoming a bigger risk target. So how are organizations actually going to balance this explosion of agent-driven productivity, which everyone wants, versus the urgent, absolute need to lock down those data pipelines that the agents themselves are making more valuable and more exposed? Which budget gets priority next quarter? Productivity or security? That feels like the central tension, the real high-stakes challenge coming out on all this technical news this week. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you next time.